It's coming.
Oh! I don't have my microphone. I was less ready than I thought. Welcome to Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about banks going to zero, Bitcoin going to the moon, all of our calls being genius, all this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're going to screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're going to get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we...
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. We're going to have a really good time today. We got a really good lineup. We've got the one and only Frankie Candles joining us on the couch. We've got the Druth on fire, the lovely Allie Lee, Biscuit Jesus on the board, and all of you in the chat. Man, look at all those mods. I guess, it's just Crypto Steve-O talking over and over and over.
He's in there.
We got Steve-O, Crypto Naughty, Small Face, No T, Crypto, or Mike Volmer, Bailey Miller, Lost Prophet, Bully Barry, Corey, BMG TV, we got Hump DZ, wow, Crimson Caravan Company, Corey Harden, Rug Gang, Casino Doggy, Manawak, Crypto Tony, Razmataz, Joe Ether, Urkelson, Manawak, Radio Face, and more. We love all of you guys joining us in the show today. It's going to be a really good one. Everybody's in a great mood when Bitcoin's pumping. We're wearing our new Bitcoin hoodie. If you guys want it, you guys have seen this before, but you can get it at hitmerch.com if you're interested in that. But real quick, let's just poll the room. How's everybody feeling today with the Bitcoin price up? Drew, how you feeling?
I'm feeling a little braggable. I called my wife, let her know. It went back up to 30 like we were talking about. And yeah, I mean, I'm still hopeful that we'll get another pullback. I'm really kind of hoping for more chop, but it has no signs of chill for me. So basically, I'm just happy to have my long-term spot hold positions in place right now. Feeling good about those gains. And yeah, I'm ready for the next leg up in this market, man.
All right, there you go. Crimson Caravan Company said he finally got his shirt yesterday. I am happy to hear that. Congratulations to you. Miracles do happen. Speaking of, Drew mentioned yesterday, we did all talk about if we thought we were, leaning towards 25 or 30. I was still leaning a little bearish. Maybe that's the jadedness in me, but everybody else said they think 31st, and boom, here we are. So the room was the consensus was right here yesterday on the Bitcoin call. I also wanted to point out just real quick, you can come to CoinMarketCap here. Obviously, it's a great day. Bitcoin up, hanging around 30K right now. I think kiss it on certain exchanges earlier. But we've also got INJ just been on an absolute tear, injective protocol. So if you guys were watching Monday, if you did happen to take any action, again, I think that's going to the underlying protocol on the Cosmos network, I think has a lot to gain from what's going on there. So that one crushed it. And then we talked about Arbitrum yesterday. That one's up 13%. So the INJ call, the ARB call, and the 30K Bitcoin call were 3 for 3 recently. So just wanted to give ourselves a little patski on the batski.
That's right.
For all you guys out there. And if you guys like it when you get good crypto content, if you like this show, if you like just hanging out, having fun, smash that like button. It would what we need to let the YouTube algorithm know that Bitcoin message matters, that people need to hear it. We need to get that message out there. We love all of you guys. As you know, the like goal, always 420 likes. Obviously, we're just getting started right now. We will check in on that later in the show. But Frank, what were things like in the Discord? We got some happy people in there. What do you look? And I'll give you this here in just a second. You can give us some general TA and let us know what we should be expecting.
Yeah, for sure. So, there were, when I look at the charts here, I'll show you guys kind of some specific things that was kind of pointing to this move to the upside. But shout out to Coverts 4. I'm probably butchering that name, but he says, I remember Frankie saying 26.8 or 28.8K, where the doors to lower or higher prices were. And this I was talking about on the BitBoy Crypto Morning Show. And we were looking at the volume profiles, looking at the key levels that were basically letting us know if we broke that 26.8K level to the downside, it was going to be a violent move down to about the 25,000s. And then if we were able to crack that 28.8K level, that would be the door to higher prices, with that next target being 30K, which is obviously where we almost tapped to the dollar. And that was the point of control of that range. So that's how we were able to predict that move up to that exact dollar. But we are in a long on ETH and Bitcoin in the Discord. Super pumped on that. They are up big time right now. So super, super happy about that. But yeah, if BJ can pull up the screen here, I will go ahead and take a look at this for you guys. But yeah, definitely bullish on Bitcoin. I don't know if I'm as bullish on Bitcoin as I am on the hoodie that TJ's wearing right now.
Let's go.
But that hoodie is fire. Oh God, man, the color,
merch.
everything, the money bags, I love it. But if you take a look here, let me just kind of zoom out. We'll come to the 4-hour time frame, and this is actually a different chart than we were looking at. But you can see here, I still on this older chart had this level here. This is from a long time ago at 28.8K. You could see it's labeled here, door to 30K, because, the reason this is why the volume profiles are so powerful, because we know that if we broke that level, the most likely next stop is going to be the point of control at about 30K. And you could see we wicked almost up to the dollar there. So as of right now, let me see if I can actually go ahead and let me see if I'm actually going to pull up the other chart here just to get a little bit of a better look. There we go, FC stream. So here we go, right? So sitting right here, this is that point of control at about 30K. And again, just looking at this white box as a volume profile range with your value area low here, POC right here, and your value area high up here at about 3150, I believe. About 3150. So again, knowing that when you flip that value area low to support, the next likely level to visit is going to be that next volume profile level, being the point of control. And, I always tell people, like, if you're going to take anything away from anything I talk about on the morning show or this show or my live stream, one thing to take away is study up on your volume profiles. This is free on most TradingView accounts. It's a free tool. And again, it gives you context into those levels. So you're not just looking at this level as a regular level of resistance. You know that when you break this level and hold it as support, you know where that next stop is going to be. And this it can be that tactical where you actually come up and tap it to the dollar. Doesn't work 100% of the time, obviously. But if you watch any of these shows, we constantly show this stuff playing out, beforehand. And then we show the afters too. Almost works out perfectly. So the next level to the upside as of right now, if we are going to continue this move up for me, would be to hop on top of this POC, hold it as support, and then again, thanks to the volume profiles, we can expect that next stop to come up to that $31,050 level.
Let me ask you this. So when you're looking at obviously value area high, value area low, point of control, are they, they're clear support and resistance levels. Are they just kind of support and resistance levels on steroids? So like, for example, the reason I'm asking that 30K point of control, is that going to be really hard to flip above that? Does that act like a really strong resistance? Like kind of, like I said, a resistance on steroids, or does it not work that way?
No, yeah. So basically, with the point of control specifically, and again, like for anybody new, the point of control is usually the level in between the value area high and the value area low, and that's just the low and the higher your range, right? So the POC is a very strong level of resistance or support, whether you're underneath it or above it. But the reason it's so strong is because the point of control is essentially the area of that range where the most volume was transacted, right? So it was the price where the most transactions happened. So that's what creates that point of interest. And it does wind up being the point of control, in my opinion, is, again, where most of the volume is, creating that stronger level of resistance. So it basically is a resistance or support level on steroids, again, depending on if you're underneath it or below it.
Right, that's what I thought. Now, it would be interesting to see maybe if we could go back and test at some point. And I don't know if, again, like, because if I remember correctly, say we go back in time 3 or 4 months, the point of control was right around 25K, approximately, I don't know if it's 25.2 or I don't know what the exact number is, and we tested that level at 25K several times before we actually broke through and made it up to 30K. But I'd be curious how many. Was it 4 times? Was it 6 times? I'm just curious. And maybe this could be another scenario where we have to test 30K, a potential 3, 4, 5 times before we flip, and then I know a lot of people are looking at like 34K as another key level. So yeah, I'd just be curious. I'm not asking you to pull it up right now unless it's super easy, but I'd be curious to kind of do that research, go back and see how many times did we test that point of control 25K level before we actually broke out decisively and we're able to make it to that next, value area high and flip that into point of control.
Yeah, I will say this to answer it in kind of a short way, you likely will have to, and you could see even with the point of control, in my opinion, will be the strongest level when you're looking at the high, the low, and the POC, usually in the middle. But you could see here, even when we were ranging in this sideways range for almost 20 something days, this was brutal. But you could see we tapped on this level so many times and could not get above it.
And that was 28 something, right?
This was 28. And basically, one of the reasons why this level was so strong was because it was the value area low of this range up here. So there are multiple value areas. This is that range that we were trading in for, again, about 20 days. You can draw your own little range just on that price action, and you can see that value area high is here, that value area low is here with its own POC in the middle. And so you have that one range down here, and then this white shaded box is a separate value area with its own levels within itself.
Yeah, that's good.
And essentially all price does is range, and then it leaves that range and hunts out another value area, and then we'll range around in there. Sometimes you can create new value areas, but that's basically how we're able to snipe these levels like almost to the dollar. I like to pretend I have a crystal ball, but I'm here to teach the people, so you guys can do this too. So yeah, that's. But I would say, I would be careful, obviously, of some cool offs coming up here. But this does look like some bullish consolidation to me, so I would not be surprised if we do pop up, and then if we do, that 30K level will be what we want to flip to support, in which case the next stop will be 31,050.
A question from the Attica, the Golden Jet asked, do you guys think we will ever fill the CME gap around 20K?
Yeah, I think that's very likely to happen. I mean, yes, I think we will. Just short answer, yes. What about Frank? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the statistic on the CME gaps is I think it's like 95% of all CME gaps get filled.
It's like 85.
80.
Okay,
yeah.
So 85. Well, no, there's a certain percentage of them that get filled, and then there's another percentage of them, a lower percentage, that get filled within about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would say there's probably, even if this doesn't happen until like the next, this could happen next month. This could, whether it happens tomorrow or months from now, I do think there's definitely just statistically a really good chance that it gets filled at some point. But yeah, I would say I know a lot of people are wondering if we're going to go to 25K or, I see Saucy, shout out to Saucy, asking if we're going to go to 25K or 32K first. It's kind of hard to call right now, but again, that's why I look at those key levels, knowing that, if you break those certain levels, if we don't lose 26.8, I wouldn't be expecting 25K. So that would be kind of the level I'd be looking at, $26,860. If we start breaking that decisively, that's where I see a move to 25K happening. If we don't do that, I would expect 32K first, especially if we flip that POC at 30K.
There you go. Yeah, I could see. I think a retest of 20K would be healthy. It would be also similar to what we saw in 2019 with the value areas or in the ranges that it did. It did retest that low before, not long before the halving now.
Crimson Caravan said, could it get filled years from now? Do CME gaps work like that? I've always wondered that.
Yeah,
too.
some do, some don't. No, generally speaking, obviously the CME gaps to the upside generally inevitably always get filled as time goes on because Bitcoin has been going up, obviously, than pretty much its entire existence. To the downside, no, like there is one, I think in the very low threes, I think like 38, like 3,900, 3,800, something like that.
I looked at that one on TradingView. I don't know. I zoomed in on that $3,000 one
because see if it was there.
I didn't see it there, and I was very zoomed in. And we got to keep in context. Like this data has only been put out. The CME data is only since end of 2017.
Right. Basically 28. First full year was 2018.
Yeah. So the longer we go in, the more going to be created. And I don't know.
I like it as use it as something as anecdotal evidence. It's not really, it's just more of a function of the markets being closed and something that stays open. It is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways where if a lot of people feel like it will get hit, traders that are there every day, they see it, that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, coming down, testing it and moving on, yes, it does do a very high percentage of the time. Not as much. The further away from the event you get, the lower the likelihood is on the downside ones. On the upside ones, it doesn't tend to matter because inevitably, at least so far, every 4-year cycle, we're going up higher than the previous. So.
I think that's the best way to explain right there.
Yeah.
It's like the ones below us, like obviously, like, we may not see those super, super low prices again, but again, the ones to the upside are almost, almost Bitcoin doesn't make all.
Can I ask you a question, Frank?
Hit me.
So last time we had this awesome pump in Bitcoin, the money flow just continued to stay on an uptrend for quite some time. On the graph you just showed, we had the previous money flow that had a lot longer of a run than what we're currently in. We have a small green wave that's in the money flow. Is it a potential to repeat and we still have more upside before it cools off with that height of money flow showing?
Yeah, so when it comes to the money flow, it really depends on what time frame you're looking at. So for the longer term, trend, what I've been looking at is the weekly money flow, which is getting very, very close to crossing over into the green. And if you backtest those, there's really only been like 3 major money flow crossovers into the green on the weekly, and we are like a week or 2 away if we keep this movement up to getting that crossover on the Heikin-Ashi candles. So, once we get that crossover into the green, statistically, it is like go time.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm looking at. But as far as looking at like the daily or, I guess the 4-hour, I don't know exactly what time frame I had up before. But yeah, if you're up deep in that money flow, it is likely on the lower time frames to come back into the red. But that weekly is getting very close to that crossover. And then once that happens, that's typically, you're usually stick in the green for the most part, unless you get a fake out, which doesn't happen often. You're typically in the green up until the bull. Doesn't mean that you're going straight up into the bull run,
right?
But it is very, very, at that point, it's like, I think there's not many people calling for lower lows at this point.
I was looking at that graph and I was like, if we keep going and holding that same pattern it just did, it's Bitcoin boner time. We have the banking collapses happening at the exact same, that's what the banking collapse actually gave us, that big green money flow last time.
Yeah, well, and it's part of what might be setting, that might be what the markets are pricing in right now, which we're going to look at here. Crypto Steve, somebody was asking, is Frankie a Jedi? And then they said, no, he's from NYC, so he's filled with hatred, which leads to the dark side.
I wonder who wrote that.
I wonder. No, so you just mentioned it there, and we've got some articles here. So obviously we were looking at the price. We want to know, like, it's always exciting to see good price action, but what actually caused the Bitcoin price to pump overnight? So Bitcoin price jumps in the wake of First Republic Bank price crash. The price of Bitcoin has bounced upwards as the First Republic Bank deposit slumps spark fresh banking crisis fears in the United States. I know this was breaking yesterday. The stock price, I don't know. I should have it up here. I don't necessarily. Maybe it's in this next article, but stock price just falling off a cliff. It's something we talked about when Silicon Valley Bank was going down, First Republic Bank in San Francisco, another one that was on the radar at the time, to basically on the track to being insolvent. Everybody say, oh, it's fine, and this is actually much bigger, even I believe. I can't remember which one was bigger when it came to deposits, but they were both large banks, top 20 banks, I believe, in the United States. So this is another one going down. This is another one that I think deposits will have to be backstopped. It will be flowing. And I did see, I think it was Covert. Yeah, Covert Fours was saying money is outflowing in the U.S. but inflowing in Europe, and that's something to keep in mind too. You've got money flows all around the world. And we're seeing tightening and easing in different areas at different times. It's a big shell game they're all playing. Which, as you guys know, because we talk about it all the time, we're going to get into that a little bit later with some other BRICS currencies and some other stuff with the digital yuan. But let's touch this here because we've also got one of the crowd favorites for the audience here, Cardano, leading among other major altcoins that we mentioned earlier in the show on the rallies here. So Bitcoin rallies to 29K. Like I said, it did actually touch 30 on certain exchanges with a market cap of 5% in the past 24 hours. Rose 29,000 in European morning hours on Wednesday, with some investors pointing to the expectations of the U.S. Federal Reserve will inject money into the economy in the coming weeks after signs of yet another U.S. bank collapse. Bitcoin was last at this level April 20th, which was only last Thursday, so it hasn't really been that long. But the slide stressed U.S. markets with the Dow Jones Industrial Average losing 1% and tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 dropping almost 2%. In contrast, Bitcoin's price has added 6.4% in the past 24 hours, following safe haven assets such as gold to reverse nearly all losses from last week's sell-off. Overall crypto market capitalization grew by 4.9%, with the likes of Cardano's ADA and Solana's Sol tokens jumping more than 7% to lead gains among other major tokens. So I guess we know which altcoins the writer of this article holds, because almost there was a whole handful of coins that went up more than 7%, more than 10%, but obviously they hold Cardano and Solana, so they wanted to shout out them. So hey, everybody likes pumping their own bags, I guess. Some observers reasoned the rally came from expectations of liquidity injection by the Fed, which we already covered. With First Republic Bank looking like it could go under. It's going under. It's already in receivership. I suspect the market is anticipating yet more liquidity injections to prop up what certainly seems to be an American banking sector that is still very much in the throes of a crisis. There's really no denying that. Jake Boyle, director of retail crypto brokerage Caleb and Brown. Hey, that's shout out to Caleb and Brown. We've used them a lot for OTC in the past. At one point we had a referral deal. If you guys are ever looking to do OTC, let us know. We can get you a discount at Caleb and Brown. So Bitcoin as a result, but you have to have, it's not small purchases, obviously. Bitcoin as a result is front running these expectation. Cracks in the financial system are growing, even if relatively subtle at the moment. It's going to be incredibly difficult for the Fed to adhere to its tightening regime going forward. I agree. It was something we've been screaming on the show pretty much since it started. He said Bitcoin's rally of late has more to do with liquidity injections, and rising expectations of the Fed's tightening will probably have to end fairly soon, or else even greater turbulence in the banking sector could ensue. So here we go. Like I said, banks continue to fail. Bitcoin continues to throw. Oh, here's the chart. I thought I had a chart. Here you go. Here's what it looked like.
Is that Pepe?
Yeah. This is not Pepe. This is actually, that was somebody did Tom Crown. Actually, let's look it up. He had a good tweet on. Now he tweets all the time, so not Tom Cruise Crown.
Yeah, that was
You're
pretty
getting
heinous.
dangerously close.
That was twice. Now he had one of these on First Republic Bank. I saw it. It was good, and he's got the humor. Yeah, here we go. No one will ever use crypto. It's too volatile. U.S. banks, hold my beer. He said, who's that Pokemon? And then it continues. It goes further. It just keeps going.
That's epic.
No, this is not Pepe. This is not Kinsler. This is not your favorite meme coin. This is a top U.S. bank. So
Wow.
feels good. Feels good.
I tried to buy the dip on silver. I think it's Silvergate Bank. I got wrecked. I bought the shares at $6, and they're trading at $1.30 a piece. But I only spent $200.
But crypto's a scam.
Yeah, but crypto's a scam, right?
Yeah. Well, and exactly, and insolvencies are created. All of this is created by FTX, right? Not in Bitcoin and crypto's fault.
Absolutely.
The things that can't go insolvent. You will never have to worry about Bitcoin not transacting your withdrawal, because it is all one-to-one and you hold it. So there you go, unless it's an exchange. So here we go, real quick, just to get you guys up to speed. First Republic, if you haven't been following this. I feel like it's, by the time we're covering this is old news, but it happened yesterday or last night, so most people probably don't know this.
Yeah, it's brand new.
First Republic Bank trading halted due to volatility as price continues to fall. First Republic Bank saw it halted Wednesday after the stock market opened sequentially. Volatility was cited as the reason for the stoppage as prices on the bank stock reached 52-week lows. Again, the news had probably leaked this was going under, and then everybody just started dumping. And this is what's so crazy. Can you imagine if like you were trading a digital or crypto asset and all of a sudden it started dumping so fast and you didn't know what to do and they just paused it for you? Wait, guys, too much. People are losing too much money. Just pause everything.
Must
just wait.
be nice.
Yeah, it must be nice to be a billionaire trading the stock market where when it's not going your way, you just pause it till you can get all ready and get all your ducks in a row. Like, okay, unpause, sell all. But here we go. Additionally, First Republic Bank had its trading halted yesterday for the same reason as the price dropped 94%. There you go. That was the thing we were just looking at. In the midst of the developing crisis, it has seen its. They keep saying the same thing over and over. The bank's prices. All right, where is what's actually happening? Basically, it went into government receivership, specifically PacWest stock. Okay. This article said absolutely nothing. Basically, First Republic Bank crashed. Others are beginning to crash or in the throes of crashing. This was just another. You can show this from John from Shapeshift, just talking about Bitcoin jumps 8% as the First Republic pulls banking sector concerns back into focus. And he's saying Bitcoin, basically the modern day canary in the coal mine, saying I am getting out of here, taking off before this thing collapses and kills us all. If you're not hearing the song of the canary right now, we're live here on YouTube trying to rescue you. Get your money out of the bank, put it in Bitcoin.
Well, and I think in that article somewhere, I don't think it was in the Watcher Guru article, but they did note the use of that third form of quantitative easing, the IMF basket of currency, basically, that we're dipping into for now the third time in an emergency response action for funds that are meant for third and second world countries to hoist up the American economy. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's
funds set aside for impoverished countries with poorly functioning economies being used to prop up the United States.
Yep. Silicon Valley Bank, like a bank that literally is investing in startups that are heavily involved with ESG initiatives, crushing economies, but yet we're going to take money out of second and third world to keep this scam going. So it was pretty insane to see that. That
is insane. It's such a shame too. But did you have something, Frank?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was
just reading chat.
Yeah.
Just being mesmerized. You chatters have all kinds of stuff to say. This kind of lines up with what we've been seeing. This was interesting from TED Talks Macro. He says bonds, gold, dollar in dollar bid, while equities are offered indicative of a flight to safety in trade fire, traditional finance. Bitcoin would usually be offered in such an environment, but instead it went bid. The events of 2023 thus far, banking crisis plus central bank's reaction has done wonders for BTC's digital gold store of value narrative. So basically we can see, he's talking about the dollar, people flying to cash, people flying to government bonds or, safe haven gold. Typically in years past, even in 2020, we saw Bitcoin, it did well, but it didn't do nearly as, it wasn't the safe haven asset we were all expecting, at least when it was all first happening and crashing and there was fears of bank insolvency back in 2019. The price, I think it was sitting around $7,000 early 2019. And we were all expecting, when all this stuff is happening, like Bitcoin's going to go to the moon. And it went from 7, did the pandemic dip back down to 3,800, returned to 7, and then just kind of did, business as usual according to the halving cycle. But we didn't see, old institutional money, rush into Bitcoin and gold as a safe haven as we anticipated. Gold, yes. Cash, yes. We saw the US dollar pick up. That's what's interesting now is this time the US dollar isn't gaining nearly as much. The dollar's on the, it's, at 101 basically. You've got Bitcoin with with a big bump and gold with a big bump. So we're seeing more going into safe haven, less going into cash because cash isn't nearly as safe as it once was because where can you save it? Where can you store it? Who can you trust? All that sort of stuff, especially if you're talking about nation states holding debt, holding currencies and bills that now could be cancelable at any given time. So I'm pretty excited to see. It seems like, and this is consistent with my thesis going through this part of the market, that I think we're going to see old money, sovereign money, traditional wealth start getting into not just speculative, not just hedge funds, but real true wealth, old sovereign fund type money is getting into digital assets in this cycle. And I think that's why we're going to see, the end of diminishing returns, a well over $200,000 Bitcoin moving into 2025 because of
agree.
some of this kind of stuff. So you said you agree with that, Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I bring this up a lot. You know, I have Gareth Soloway on my show. You know, I think every couple months or whatever, and he was talking about how he doesn't think the stock market will make another all-time high for a very long time. And that kind of initially, when you hear that, is like, oh God, Gareth knows his stuff. He's been around. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's been, he's got a super high win rate. But when you hear someone say something like that, it starts to get a little alarming for crypto. It's like, well, if the stock market's not going to make new all-time highs, like, what's that mean for crypto?
Right.
And I talked to him last time we had him on the show, and he was saying that he doesn't think that that's going to be the case for crypto. He thinks that the stock market's not going to be making new all-time highs, but people are going to be looking for other places to put their money, and he thinks that crypto will continue to grow and pump and hit new all-time highs, even if the stock market kind of stalls out and doesn't make any new all-time highs. So I would probably go ahead and agree. And it's just like a perfect storm. The banks are going down, right? And I was talking to Justin Williams from our NFT department, and we were just kind of sitting there, at the beginning of these banks starting to go down, and it's like, God, like I can't keep my money in the bank. I don't know if I should be putting my money here or there. It's like, where do you put your money? It's like there's no safe place to put your money, and then like we all just kind of looked at each other and we were like, it's time. Like this is the moment. Like. So, or at least that's the way it seems. If it keeps going this way,
it does. I agree. Yep. It's nice to see. It feels like people are starting to wake up. We're in a way that they haven't in the past. Like I said, and you can almost feel it. To the point you're making, where people. There is a lot of fear out there, and there isn't a lot of trust in the U.S. economy, the U.S. government, the U.S. banks as there once was.
Yeah.
When you're running a big confidence game and the confidence starts waning, it's time for a new hustle, and I think that's what we're in the midst of right now. A transition from the system that we're in into a different system, probably going to be a much more complex system, which is part of what they use to their advantage. A lot of moving parts, a lot of misdirection. But I think right now, in that moment, we have the opportunity to, depending on where you are in position for your family and your life in the world, to jump that gap from being in the have-nots, the middle, that no man's land, into, really being able to set your family up for long-term wealth, and really freedom is really what you should be striving for going forward. Because if you continue on the path that is, it blew my mind. I can't remember where it was or who made the statement now, but DZ covered a story on this morning's live stream. I think it was somebody, I don't know if it was the UK finance minister, but it was somebody over there that was basically just saying you just need to get comfortable being poor. You should stop striving to
Bank
work
of England.
Yeah, the Bank of England said that. You should stop striving to work hard to not to grow or increase or develop your level of lifestyle. He said you should stop working hard just to maintain your lifestyle. You should just slowly let your lifestyle get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's those of you that are trying to do better and work and create more that are making it worse for the rest of us. And it's just like, what is that logic? Like, just give up on life basically and just sit back and let them tell you how to live everything you do. Like, I can't get behind that framework or that logic or that mindset in any way, shape, or form. And I see digital assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many others as a way to escape and create freedom for your family in the world that is in front of us right now.
I don't know. The Bank of England seems to have a short memory because revolutions have been fought for much less.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, shout out to Perry D XRP. Just ordered the hoodie you're wearing, TJ. Looks awesome. Can't wait.
Oh, snap. You picked it up. I have this. I meant to show this on stream. This thing, I wanted to show this off real quick.
Oh, what do you got? Oh, you got the graphic
I
tee.
got,
Such a sick
I
shirt.
saw this thing
Is this
and I had to
our
wear it.
Yeah,
Check this
it's ours.
out.
Get up in the.
Hey, can we see
there you
that?
go. Oh, look
That's
at that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Look at this. So this is the BitBoy superhero.
Who's the villain with the top hat?
That's the bank's. The
bankster.
banker. I forgot. Yeah, the banker. That's his name. He's like a kind of a
This
penguinish
is real,
kind of character.
BitBoy Crypto.
Yeah, these are the
comic.
bit punks. You know,
And
these
That's
are
awesome.
Brian Armstrong is up here, I think. That'd be Brian
I
Armstrong.
love it.
Dr. Fudd. That's Dr. Fudd. There's the bankster. Somewhere in there's
Dr. Fudd.
there's a shill rabbit kind of guy.
I like
Yeah, he's
FOMO.
down here.
FOMo's my favorite.
FOMO. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Where
the
can we
shill
get
rabbit.
this? And the mug. They, shout
Yeah,
out to the
I have
Steven mug.
the link. I put it in Slack.
Yeah,
but,
I got it up. You did put it in Slack. Here
Yeah,
it
we
is.
can show it. We just got I love the superhero kind of, because that's what it feels like. Like we're fighting up against this huge beast of traditional banking with the word of crypto, and like this just speaks volumes to me when I'm able to kind of express it to everyone, and then they're like, "What's that on your shirt?" And I'll be like, "Well, this is Bitcoin blasting through the banker's FUD and all that stuff, So yeah, I just wanted to, and I got Frankie's hat
It's a
on.
fire
today.
hat.
I'm
I love
set
it.
up today
That
with
is a
merch.
fire hat.
Speaking of blasting through.
What the?
Oh, so that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes. There it is.
It's a blockchain basement mug.
that
What are you talking
camera
about?
zooms in so
Frank,
much.
what are you talking
Where
about?
can we get it? Is that
It's all on
hitmerch.com?
Hitmerch. Yeah, I've got it up right here if you want
Yeah.
to show. But yeah, hitmerch.com is where we've
It's a
got
good one.
pretty much all this stuff. So if you guys want this, if you want the hoodie that I'm wearing, like you said, Frankie Candle's hat's in the house now. So we got all kinds of fun
It's
stuff.
a good conversation starter,
It is. Like,
and
what's
you're gonna
that?
have like I'm having family members reach out to me like, "Where do I put my money? I know you did this crypto thing that I didn't understand years ago. Like, what are you doing with
Seems
it
to
now?"
be going pretty good for you now. Yeah, they
Yeah.
always come back later.
Just dig into it. I bank out of Coinbase at this point. Basically, I have fiat in my account for maybe a total of a half an hour at this point, and it's a regional bank. I don't trust it. It's just a transition point at this point. So
This is interesting. Real quick, we got to keep us moving here. But we do have about 500 people in the chat. So shout out to all of you
Hey.
guys if you could
Love you
smash that
guys.
like button. We really appreciate it. But we've got this from the Fed. Fed is sucking money out of the system. Money supply
Funny
contracting.
timing.
We were talking about this a little bit earlier in the show. This is the first time in 90 years, but everything is fine, right? So here's that graph there, basically going back before 1970. And this is the first time we're under the money supply contraction line here pretty dramatically. So this is what's putting the squeeze on a lot of this stuff.
yes,
What is the money supply contraction? I'm not familiar with that at all.
This is just basically the Fed's balance sheet, what they're
M2.
print. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, it's just the M2 money supply,
Right.
basically, just the liquidity that the Treasury is putting out, just across the board. Not just to the U.S., but
Like emission rate, kind of?
I guess you could say, yeah, it's an emission of fiat useless money, but that's essentially it. It's just the Treasury balance sheet compared with their inputs into the IMF, and then other contractual obligations with the Bank of International Settlements. It's all this big polycule of fiat money that it hasn't been this low in a while. If you on that thread,
Yeah.
there's a few charts down.
This one, I'm looking at it right now. You're talking about this one here.
Well, that's a good one, but yeah, that's actually that's showing it, because it shows the last time it went below this line, and I don't know if this is exactly
Was back here. Well,
because there was one chart that kind of shows the comparison of this to the Great Depression and things of that nature in the 30s, and honestly, like, we haven't seen this level of velocity in the loss of M2 since the Great Depression. So, it's either poop or scoot basically for our monetary system, I feel like, at this point, because you've created a situation where you are literally on a lifeline of debt, and you have to keep moving the economy forward for not only yourself, but we're tied into a lot of economies around the world, and they're servicing the US dollar debts. So it feels like we might be coming to that point where a lot of gold bugs or a lot of preppers have been looking at this for years, where essentially they have no choice but to completely overhaul the financial system. If it's going to be on a public or private blockchain setup, that's still in discussion, but something cataclysmic has to change over the next 10 years, or we will see a 1930s type event where, you're canning your goods and not much is being produced around you. So get good at farming it just in case.
yeah, I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna retweet this for you guys. It's good stuff, and you guys can go find it. But basically, if you dig through, this tweet that I just retweeted, this guy breaks it down pretty good. Now there is. Again, there's some funny math in here with when you have inflation adjusted versus not inflation adjusted and all that sort of stuff. So he's saying it's down 2%, 2.2 in the last year, but it's even more if you adjust for inflation. He goes through and explains a lot of different stuff. But there was once, really this is the meat of it right here. When real M2 growth surges higher, real GDP tends to see a significant increase. When real M2 growth turns negative for a sustained period, real GDP often does the same, and a recession arrives.
Yep.
So that was kind of what you were just describing. But I did retweet the rest of it because he's got some good historical references and stuff in there as well. Now that being said, the key word there was when it's sustained. When contracting is sustained for a significant period of time, and so like right now we're just now starting to see it. If boom, this bank goes under, and boom, we're right back. The Fed's right back to increasing the supply again. Then this kind of goes out the window, and that could be again what pushes Bitcoin up, what pushes other markets up, what helps us kick the can of the recession down the road a little bit further. That being said, you're still going to feel the effects of inflation, and that's what we're already hearing. It says here, 1 out of every 4 Americans have slashed the amount they saved for retirement in the last year due to inflation. 12% stopped saving for retirement entirely. The effects of inflation will be felt decades from now when those people try to retire. And that's what we're feeling right now. And the current, the baby boomer generation they are a little bit more fortunate because they were able to get assets a little bit earlier, whether it was stocks or homes when homes were a little bit more affordable. So they've had, luckily, a lot of them some appreciation through real estate or through the stock market. But if you weren't able to acquire assets early on, a lot of people in that baby boomer generation are coming up on that retirement age right now. And maybe they were looking decent to retire in 2020 or 2021. Like, hey, you're on track. Everything's looking decent. They get through 2022, your assets get wiped out. All of a sudden, inflation's a lot higher. Your cost of living is dramatically more than it was just 2 years ago. And the amount of assets you have to draw on now is, 50% less or 30% less than it once was. So there's, I don't think, I told steak burrito for lunch, guys. Steak burrito from Pure. So.
Speaking of retirement, Mario Sanchez asked, should I pull my 401k to buy more Bitcoin?
Yes.
That's a very personal
financial advice.
Financial advice.
No, that's a very personal question. We have no idea how old you are, how much you have in your 401k, all those sorts of things. What I will tell you is that's something I did.
That was a really long-winded way of saying yes.
It was. It was. I mean, I just
not financially.
Yeah, it's just telling you that's what I did. I had a 401k, or actually, really, it was a Roth IRA mutual fund that I converted over.
Well, your 401k is making less than inflation plus the devaluing of the dollar. You can do that math. It's not hard.
Exactly. It really isn't. Now there is obviously some tax protections, but if you guys are still looking for that, there's iTrust Capital, which uses they have basically it's a Bitcoin IRA type concept model. You can roll your 401k right into it, still get the tax protection of having it in an IRA, a retirement type savings account. It is a self-directed IRA. You can trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many others within that account completely tax-free, self-directed on your own. So if that's something you're interested in, if you have a 401k and you're interested potentially in moving it over, I would check out iTrust Capital. They're great to work with. I've worked with them for years. I've known people that have done that. So, yeah, there you go. There's all your options. Charles DY, do your own research, says I converted my IRA into a crypto IRA. Oh, there you go. Crypto IRA on iTrust Capital. And he was very happy. So look at that. There's some options for you guys out there. Yeah,
it's working.
All right. So now, and this comes back to what we were talking about yesterday with a little bit of the regulatory stuff. I think a lot of this is posturing and, positioning for actions in the United States. Circle CEO, and then we're seeing this obviously coming out of Coinbase. Circle, the issuer of USDC, now complaining. Circle CEO blames U.S. crypto crackdown for declining USDC market cap. Now, I think that's a little deflecting because I think they did that to themselves by having $3 billion of their reserves in a bank that went insolvent. I think that's a big part of what scared a lot of people. But we were actually covering this yesterday. I wish this does go well with what we were looking at. We were looking at the market cap of USDC versus USDT. Saw that USDC was gaining ground very quickly throughout 2022 in favor of the regulations, really pushing against Tether. So I would argue with him that the U.S. crypto crackdown is actually helping USDC in some ways. But I can see his point. Basically, people like me, I'm much more comfortable in USDT at this point because Circle has shown they will operate under the direction of the United States government, as they pretty much have to. Otherwise, they'll cut off all their banks. So I can hear his call for the U.S. to be more effective in this realm because they're not making his job any easier. I could say that. So Circle's chief's comments on the U.S. crackdown come amid heavy regulatory scrutiny following the collapse of the FTX exchange, a banking crisis, and USDC's momentary depegging. USDC kind of in the middle of a lot of this stuff, really. During an interview, the Bloomberg TV Jeremy Allaire noted that there is a huge amount of concern globally about the U.S. banking system and the regulatory environment in the U.S. This is what I was talking about earlier. USDC depegged in March as a direct result of U.S. banking crisis. Circle's $3.3 billion worth of USDC reserves was stuck with the Silicon Valley Bank, which was one of the 3 crypto-friendly banks shut down by regulators at the time. Circle has assured its customers that it had backing from investors to fill the gap, but the market reacted quickly to the news and USDC depegged from the dollar. Yeah. USD, basically, because if you guys don't know, USDC is supposed to have $1 in reserves for every $1 they have issued. They did have these dollars in reserves in these different bank accounts. However, when Silicon Valley Bank was going under, 3.3 billion of Circle's funds were in there and were unknown if they were going to be able to be recovered or not at the time. So that being said, people did that math. Okay, if that's X percentage of the funds of, if the market cap of USDC is $30 billion and $3 billion are in this one bank, okay, that's 10%. Yeah. And so what happened, it depegged down to approximately 90 cents. So it lost about 10% of its value, because if everybody was to redeem their USDC all at once, effectively, they were not going to be able to make whole. They would have only been able to make 90% paid out. So that's how that shook out. Coinbase also warned that the lack of regulatory clarity may force crypto companies to look for opportunities overseas. With the recent passing of the Markets in Crypto Assets Act, MiCA, the European Parliament, and the push for adoption by Hong Kong, Allaire believes the U.S. will be left behind. It's a critical moment here in the U.S., and as I like to say, it's really a moment for Congress to step up. So the U.S. SEC, led by Gary Gensler, has been an enforcement spree since the FTX saga. You guys all know this already. I think a lot of what we're seeing from these big players here is pressure on Congress to take action. Yeah. We think as somebody, I was on ATB yesterday, and T-Shroom from Investing Bros was basically making the prediction that he thinks Gary Gensler is going to be out in the next, he said 30 days a few days ago. So I think he said it was like at 26 or 25, basically fired and out of his role within the next 25 days, which would be, I'd be all about that. Now let's see who steps in next.
Yeah,
hopefully
relevant.
Hopefully they would be better. I don't see it getting any worse for crypto necessarily. I can't imagine anybody treating it worse, giving less clarity or assistance to the consumers. That's the other. I just don't even get me started about Gary Gensler. The whole Voyager thing falling apart like that. If he had one job, like that was one thing he could do that would be helpful, is get this Voyager deal done and get their money back. Get these Celsius these creditors, these actual U.S. retail customers that are hurt, do something to help them get their money back instead of just attacking people namelessly and aimlessly.
Well, speaking of ways to get money back, I guess put one in a chat if you guys would buy this. We get a shirt that just says lunch indicator and then has like a little line drawing of the meal and then equals and then the chart pattern. I think that shirt would be hilarious.
I'd buy it.
We're making that.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Isn't it interesting how, all of this stuff coming at Gary Gensler from Congress, they're aggravated with him for basically enforcing rules that Congress had not allowed the SEC to enforce, essentially, is the bird's eye view. But Gary Gensler has yet to be forced to make a statement on the securities that have put these banks at risk in the U.S. to begin with.
You're talking about like basically the risky mortgage. There's a lot of them are
mortgage-backed securities, all kinds of different security packages that have basically put banks in nearly $1 trillion in the red.
Where was he regulating those?
Where are you, Gary?
Literally securities.
Yeah, like that is actually a physical threat, not the national security threat of people having privacy. It's a real threat to the banking system right now, and Gary has not been asked or forced to make any sort of comment on that specific subject. It's all been crypto focused. Don't worry about our actual house on fire from the fire you started in the kitchen. We're going to worry about the front lawn and the grass you didn't mow, basically.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Yeah, the truth is out there. No, that's a great move, because if you think about it, you're talking billions and billions of dollars of U.S. retail customer funds at these banks. You're talking U.S., a lot of the best businesses in the U.S. coming out of Silicon Valley, Roku and a lot of very strong companies had their deposits, had their reserves there. A lot of American workers, payrolls were not met because of that. Now the government stepped in, printed more money, and did make them whole. and the cycle continues, but there was no accountability, to your point, for the situation, and there never has been, and this has been going on and on and on and on for quite some time, and there's never any accountability for the cause that gets us to the result. They're able to sweep the result under the rug and fix it and try to minimize the damage and hide it, but there's nothing to stop it from repeating, which is why we're seeing these dominoes fall. We're going to continue to see these dominoes fall. The only way that they prop it up is to continue to print more money, which continues to increase inflation, which continues to create political or economic unrest. And then eventually, people want to exit. They want to protest. We've got Bitcoin. That is our protest. That is our exit. And it's happening right here in front of them. We are leading the new financial, economic, peaceful revolution.
So I was going to say a random conspiracy for you. Do you know what Roku means?
Oh, I don't.
It's just 6 in Japanese.
Yeah, I was just going to say
but it's very interesting, like, why? It seems like such a random name.
That is a random.
Do
Interesting.
you know why?
No.
It just means
throwing
it's
it
just
out
the number
there.
6.
I mean, I could sit there and be like, oh, it's the mark of the beast, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But, like,
Roku,
I mean, it's
Roku,
just a
Roku.
singular 6.
Well, maybe
It
it's
has a whole
connected.
different meaning.
It might be connected to the $680 billion that the banks are negative in their securities holdings.
Definitely is.
Yeah,
There's a
that's the
predictor.
direct- Yeah.
That was a good. That was a prophecy.
Yeah.
Speaking, you gave me a good transition there. You were talking about doing something real instead of trying to convince us that privacy is the worst thing for national security. So we've got another regulatory body out there, the CFTC. Fears crypto anonymity could pose national security threats.
Oh, you mean an open ledger that anybody can read?
Very
Right.
threatening.
The CFTC
Okay, boomer.
wants to dox you to protect America. Let's see what they're saying.
No,
Romeo's.
Bitcoin literally does that.
Yeah, exactly. So this is coming from the CFTC Commissioner Christy Romero, voiced the concerns during this City Week conference in London, April 25th. Romero said that anonymity of crypto is making the asset class attractive for illicit finance, adding that digital assets are being used increasingly, but increasingly to commit cyber crimes. Victims of such crimes are often from critical infrastructure or public sector facilities. The commissioner added, fraud is a hallmark of digital asset markets, the human toll of which may be overlooked. See, I mean, this is a pretty standard argument. Let's see.
Yeah.
Although the CFTC holds an opposing view to the SEC in terms of whether Ethereum is a security or a commodity, the commission holds a similar reserved stance on digital assets as its securities counterpart. So this is another body that has their hat in the ring as a potential regulator over digital assets, crypto assets. I think a lot of them are closer to commodities probably than securities. I think you can make a case for some of them going in either direction. But we've seen this to be true across the board when it comes from regulators. The things they want to tell you over and over and over again is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Could be used for crime, could be bad, could be scary, could hurt you, could be a negative thing. That's what they do all the time when they want to regulate something, is convince you it could potentially harm you. So we need to protect you from it. That and energy. Oh, it's damaging the world. We're melting the oceans, all that sort of, or boiling the oceans, all that sort of stuff. The two largest narratives coming from mainstream when it comes to digital assets, specifically tied to Bitcoin, are bad for the energy and used by criminals. And they're going to continue to scream that loud and clear for the next years until they can convince you that you have to use this one instead of that one, because this one's safe and regulated from criminals and this one is not bad for the environment. And that's how they're going to use that to push a lot of people into ones that they have far more control over. And I think that's something we all need to be aware of.
They cared about the environment. Like, I'm going to do this as loosely as possible, but it's like, okay, the pharmaceutical industry, that we're not even going to get into the agricultural fertilizer that causes certain hormone changes. But you can literally look at populations of fish that are doped up on Prozac, methamphetamines, and all these other things. When you take these pills and you pee them out, they are not being filtered out of the water source that then gets recycled over and over again. So if you cared about A, the environment, B, about us, it's like, why aren't you even spending tax dollars and actually cleaning that out? It's like, all this is to quote crypto, what's his name, who always says Fugazi. But it is. It's like, there's no way you don't know about all this. Like, feigning ignorance only goes ever so far. It's like, these narratives, eventually people are going to wake up. Hopefully.
That is the hope. That is why we are here. That is why we are spreading this message. That is why all of you are out there in the chat, hopefully talking to your friends and your family, trying to impact the world around you. That's what I'm a big fan of. Like, if you want to change the world, start with what's in front of you. Don't expect the world to change to fit your view. You need to try to push your view out and around to people around you. Share what you think is important. And if you think these things that we're talking about, freedom, Bitcoin, sovereignty, all those are important, hopefully you're talking to your friends, you're talking to your family, you're smashing that like button, you're sending this video to somebody who needs to learn and change their future and hopefully better themselves, because it's so interesting how many. I was shout out to Tony D, by the way. He had his barber come through and do these awesome haircuts.
Hey.
The whole office, it looks like middle school picture day because everybody's walking around with a haircut.
Everybody's got a fresh
Everybody
cut.
got a fresh cut yesterday. And I was talking to him. He's a super nice guy, business owner. He owns four different barbershops in New York. Like, he's a really awesome guy. And he's like, yeah, my brother's really into crypto. He's been into it for a while. He pours all his extra money into it. He keeps telling me like he's gonna retire me in 2 years or help me out in 2 years. I don't know what happens in 2 years, but he's really confident that 2 years from now he's gonna be in a really good position. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And he's like, I don't know, is it? Like, is he putting all his money? I feel like he needs to be doing this and that. But so it was interesting to me. Smart guy, business owner, still leery about crypto, digital assets, all that stuff. Has a brother that's telling him about it all the time, and he's still like, I don't know. So what I will tell you guys is, hopefully, don't get discouraged if you are that way with a lot of your friends and family. I was that way for quite some time with a lot of people where you're telling them, and they're just looking at you like, okay, TJ, have fun. Sounds good. And then, eventually they start to see it impact your life, I think. And hopefully if you can, if you really care about them, you give them a little bit and let them look at it. Hopefully it starts to impact their life. And when that happens, that's generally when they become a lot more engaged. I was able, fortunately, to give a lot of Ethereum away when it was very, not a lot, but at the time it was only a couple $100, but it was a half of Ethereum or an Ethereum when it was, 1 ETH, half an ETH when it was a couple $100, $100, and let people sit on that and keep an eye on it and watch it. And that then they really start waking up. And, during those last couple of years, that Ethereum that I gave them that was $100 went to a couple $1,000, and the dollars in their bank account now are buying less eggs than they were before. And then boom, it clicks. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Tell me more about this stuff. I want to continue to learn. So I'll just say that if you've got people in your life that you're trying to convince and it's not working, just give it time. Don't oversell it either. So and then Mode Master DK says loves the Magic the Gathering shirt. BJ.
Have they seen the back? People have seen the back before.
I've seen it.
I'm going to show the back real quickly.
All right, show the back.
Oh, God.
I don't think I've seen the back.
I have,
of this.
yeah. This is my favorite, one of my favorite jackets that he's got.
Don't you go dying.
Chimeric staff.
Look at that. Ooh. Look
and
at
a little
that.
butt crack, too.
Wow.
It reminds me of the Dueling Dragons at Disney.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Fire and Ice. So, all right, real quick, we got a couple more things to touch on before we run out of time here, but just keeping pace with the BRICS narrative as we continue to follow. Just in, Brazil president says he would support creating a new currency for BRICS nations to trade with. So that's an interesting development there. And then right behind that, Justin. Now this is just more interesting. Chinese yuan overtakes US dollar as most used currency in China's cross-border transactions for the first time in history. Now, again, this is most used currency in China's cross-border transactions. So they're finally starting to use their own currency more than our currency for doing these. But, it's still significant.
So does anybody know who runs Watcher Guru? Because I was just trying to figure it out. And the closest I could get is Call Me Matt. And it's somebody who's registered in Texas.
No idea.
Because I feel like that's relevant whenever we're talking about like know your source, whether it's primary source, secondary source. But it's like Watcher Guru just showed up in 2021 and nobody knows who it is.
Yeah.
It seems like awesome information, but like how much is it controlled narratives?
Yeah.
I don't think it is, but relevant.
No, yeah, it is. A lot of times it is. Yeah, it could be. I try to find things that are facts and fact, like just pure information. And then you obviously, like you said, you want to corroborate it somewhere else where you can get another source.
I love the account.
Yeah, no, I do too. But that's a good point. You always want to check your sources, know, what's their motivation for releasing what, when, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yes, we are going to, we are coming up. Don't forget to like it on the way out so we hit our like goal. But I did want to hit that. And we do have one more. Let me start this.
All right, we got to be quiet for this.
Okay.
All right, you need the audio too, right?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Get this on.
Gonna be amazing.
This is so.
What did it say?
Okay. Before we start it, this AI generated pizza commercial is terrifyingly hilarious. So this is an ad 100% created by AI
For pizza.
Just watch the mouths.
Here we go.
Are you ready for best pizza of life? Bring friends down to Pepperoni Hug Spot. Our chefs make pizza with heart and special touch. Cheese, pepperoni, vegetable, and more secret things. Need delivery? Pizzas come fast. Knock, knock, who's there? Pizza magic. Eat pepperoni spot pizza. Your tummy say thank you. Your mouth say, Pepperoni Hug Spot.
Pepperoni Hug
Family,
Spot.
but with more cheese.
Wow.
I love that.
Pepperoni Hug
I think
Spot.
that's so ironic that AI made a commercial and it had a human delivering the pizza still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
mean,
kinda
they're
weird.
trying to. I'm sure they're trying to market it in a way that it's looking at all other pizza ads in the past.
Friendly to the human.
what
Yeah,
is
it
he
definitely had like
carrying?
a older 90s vibe to it.
Yeah. What's that?
It looks like he's carrying like a stack of newspapers,
Right.
but boxes, but
Or
it's
they're like,
not.
there's like a herb grinder that they're grinding something into this weird pizza,
Yeah,
and more
there's
special stuff.
Many questions.
Yeah, that would that seems like something you watch, like you said, in the 90s. It comes on TV at like 4 a.m. and you're half asleep in like a college dorm. You're not really sure what's. You're like, wait a minute, what did I just dream that, or is there?
I want
did
pizza now, though.
actually get delivered? Like, yeah, that
I'm
was
ready
very
to
strange.
invest in the internet scam now after watching that 90s commercial. So
Yeah.
I'm
AI
feeling
is still
good.
struggling pretty bad with mouths and fingers, though.
Mouths and fingers. Well, hey, so do human artists. So I guess
it's true.
mouths and fingers are tough. Faces,
Hands are hard to draw.
They are.
It's the
I have
only
a
thing I can
question.
draw.
Yeah, go ahead, Allie. What you
Mike
got?
Vollmer said, stupid question. Does Biden or any president have the power through executive order to ban crypto or ban crypto exchanges in the U.S.?
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yep.
Horrifyingly enough.
Yeah, they can, but I mean, that's not going to. I mean, then what?
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Oh, no.
Follow me on Rumble for more.
do they have the power? I would say whenever the question is, does the United States president have the power to? The answer is always no. They're just a figurehead. They have to do. They don't really get to do anything by their own choice for the most part. Like if they were, yes, the issuer of the executive order would be the seat of the president, but they wouldn't just like, hey, I'm going to bed. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and write an executive order and ban all this stuff because that just wouldn't happen. But yeah, exactly. It would need to be
There's
validated by the
supposedly
Supreme
checks and balances.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Supposedly.
the Supreme Court would
Allegedly.
be the check and balance there, allegedly. But my point is, like if you think the president of the United States that's been running the United States the last 4 years been making his own decisions on a daily basis, I don't know what to say to you.
I mean,
Like,
listen, this has been a great third Obama regime, and we should look forward to a fourth. So just sit down and enjoy.
and like it comes back to that meme: government's banning Bitcoin, and it's the guy at the gate with there's nothing else around the gate where people would just step right around it. So that doesn't ever concern me. Actually, in a lot of ways, I think that would be a bullish opportunity. I mean, it would definitely take the price down and make a very good time for accumulation.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they would do it because it would show they can't really do it.
Yeah, it would show. I mean, it would show fear. It would also create a lot of opportunity for a lot of other people.
Catch me in Estonia.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys. Shout out to all of you guys. The Davenport Report, Bailey Miller, Mode Master DK, Crypto Halligan, Paul Mask, Small Face, No Toe, MHMA7, Crypto Stevo, David Brumbelow, Paul Mack, Time Puddin, Manowalk, Ninja Glock, Urkelson, Rug Gang, Jen Jones. This is the Bitcoin Way, Covert Fours, NNI, Manly Crypto, Agent Brown Sugar, Razmataz, Your Mother is Creeping, Paul Mark, Mike Vollmer, Crypto Stevo. We love all of you guys.
Nice.
Coors Lightyear 008, Ninja Glock. Buy some Bitcoin. Tell a friend. Smash the like buttons on the way out. We still need to get to that 420 like goal.
Yes.
Send this video to a friend of yours. Stay cool. Hang out in the basement. I was gonna say don't do drugs, but meh.
Don't overpay for them.
Who are we?